Hey guys, it's LSuperSonicQ here with the third part of the Samus clay tutorial. So in case anybody's wondering, yes, I am using a different camera than I normally do. This one has a much better focus because I wanted to make some notes about some of the details and stuff we put on. So I wouldn't normally be using this camera and it's not even mine, but I figured because Samus is so detailed and I was talking about etching stuff in with a toothpick, I kind of wanted to show it in a bit more focus. Perhaps I do need to get myself a new video camera because this year, or next year rather, the camera that I use to film stuff will be 5 years old, so perhaps I'll invest in a new camera, but for now I got this going on. I hope the focus doesn't go in and out all the time. But what I wanted to kind of make mention of is how last time we used a toothpick to draw in the detail lines. Now if this was a painted clay model or whatever, you could obviously paint them on or draw them on, but since we're just sculpting out of colored clay, I think using black clay to kind of put, as the detail lines over the red would just be really smudgy and look really bad. So just drawing them in with a toothpick should probably work out just fine like that. And that's about as far as we got right there. And then I wanted to point out some body stuff too, where we kind of did the same thing with the body. Notice up here, there's like indents, and that's pretty much what we were doing with the toothpicks. But with that said, I want to start doing the arms. However, I think what I might do before that is do more of the body, because for the arms what I want to do is, as I normally do for clay tutorials, I usually show one arm, and then I'm just like, oh, well, replicate this, but just flip it around because it's on the other side. But Samus doesn't have two arm cannons, or two arms, she has one arm cannon and one arm. So what I think I want to do for that is show the shoulder piece, that sphere shoulder piece, and then the upper arm extension. And then I think in one part I'll dedicate that to just doing the lower arms, which would be the arm cannon and the her regular hand. So for right now we're going to stick to the body. But even before I do that, I think I want to do a couple things to the head, now that I look at it. So these two lines actually don't have any where they meet, they're just kind of drawn. And I'm pretty sure Samus has it like this, where both lines kind of connect to create this, I guess, little like arc almost in the back of her head. So that's what we're going to do, kind of connect those lines, because they weren't connected before. And then I want to add some green clay around the visor area, because I think that it's a little bit off in terms of how it should look. So let me take some green. And yeah, we're gonna have problems with this with the focus all episode, because it was focused and then I moved it. Now it has to refocus. So I'm just gonna put some more clay, kind of right in between, like where this little indent is. I'm just kind of filling that up with more clay so that the visor has a steeper kind of dip in its shape. And I think the clay I used right now had black in it, which is probably why it looks kind of yeah, whoops. But that should be green, but it kind of looks a little black. So like I said, right there, and we're just kind of gonna put it like that, and then kind of put it in like this. Kind of doing my best to make sure it looks consistent. I think that looks a little better than it was before. Just the shape was bothering me a little bit, but I think it looks better now. And of course, if you didn't really screw that up the first, well, I guess if you're following me, then you probably messed it up, because I messed it up. But I guess if you made the visor right the first time, then you wouldn't have had to bother with that. But that's okay. So we are moving on, I think, at this point. Finally, at last in this video, we're moving on to new territory. So like I said, before I do the arms, I'm going to do the body, because we're going to use the same method we've been using, like all around here and stuff. So first off, I think I sculpted this with the intentions of, I think this was the upper body, and I want to show this because I should. I think what this is up until about this point. We haven't actually gone down to the torso yet. So yeah. I'm going to thin this out a little bit because I think it should be thinned out a little bit, especially if, this is just the upper body. So it should, go down a little more, point a little more than it was before. It was kind of flat before. And you should probably make sure that the clay is consistent all throughout, because, I'm flattening it out, but I don't want it to be really flat down here and then like super thick up here. See the difference there? And I guess you can add more clay if you need to, but I think I'm going to try and do this with just what I have here. Alright. Kind of getting messed up here. Okay, so what I think I want to do for Samus's things is, or the detail in the body, like I said, is use this toothpick and kind of continue these lines down. 1 and 2, like that. So like I said, I mean, we're just sculpting with colored Sculpey clay and on a rather small scale. I guess you could probably, if you were sculpting this on a larger scale, you could use like a Sharpie or a fine tip marker and draw the lines in after this is done baking. But seeing as I'm already sculpting small enough, I think just to etch the lines in would be good enough, and that's often what I've done in the past on my Samus models, is just done this, because it creates the effect without, much hassle. So we did 2 lines down, and then there's a line about halfway through. The only bit you have to worry about is the smudging and the overlap. Well, I guess not really smudging, but if you go over the lines, multiple times or whatever, like if I have a line going this way and then a line going that way or whatever, I might kind of interfere with this cross section and then it'll smudge the first line I made. So just be careful of that. So that's that going on, and then it looks like it kind of starts to go up on both sides. So there we go. Up and away, right like that. And then it looks like there are 2 lines. One is about right here, and then there's another one right below it. And I guess I'm picking up quite a bit of clay with this, so you might just want to kind of clean your toothpick occasionally. Yeah. So like that, and then so on this side it would look like, it's kind of hard for me to do this kind of in the air because I'm not actually on a table doing it, but I'd probably have an easier time doing it if I was actually on a table, kind of, doing this flat. But I kind of need to show it in the air because I think it would be better to visually see. So there we go. It should look something like that with these 2 lines right there. Let me make this one a little bit better. Got all this clay on my toothpicks. Slowly but surely I'm actually learning how to use like the legit clay tools, but I've always had difficulty doing that. And I think for a model like this, don't really need to break out the tools. Toothpicks work fine for me. So it should look something like that on there, and then that on there. Yeah. And now this is kind of the main part that I think I was kind of really waiting to do, is making the indents in her sides right here. So I think I'm going to add a bit more clay because it would look better. And again, just as a precautionary note, I guess, try not to handle these lines too much, or else I'm way off camera. Try not to handle these lines too much, like put your fingers and stuff all over them, because then you will kind of erase them. I mean, you could just redraw them in or whatever, but just to save you some trouble, I'm probably gonna have to go over some of mine. But I kind of wanted to draw them in first, just because that's how I did it. But I guess logically maybe we should have done that last, because now I have to add some clay to the sides, and I run that risk of erasing the lines. But like I said, I have not sculpted a Samus in a long time, so even though we're kind of in some instances going a bit backwards with our steps, like, oh well, we're gonna have to do these lines again and all that stuff, I guess it's kind of a learning process for us all. And since this is a video or whatever, You know, you could just, I guess you could just like watch the whole thing, see what I do, and then as you progress through it, you know, like change some of the step orders and stuff. So quickly, I'm just gonna go back over those lines. I guess it was good that I showed them in the first place, though, just because I don't know. So there's one there, one there, and then so yeah. Alright, so this is the part that I hope that was identical to what I did last time. Well, even in the case that it wasn't, what I did the first time was definitely right. But what I want to do now is do the little side things. I mean, you'll see what I mean. So I would take the side of the toothpick and kind of roll it back and forth, and then made an indent, and then just do it again. And then just keep doing it all the way around, and that creates that rigid texture that's right there on Samus, if you can see it. And of course, in the game's artwork, it's a bit more prominent because it's shaded and stuff. But I think that created this effect pretty well for us. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised with how well that worked. So now we just gotta do it on the other side. I think I did it 4 times. There may or may not be 4 ridges. I guess it all depends on how you space them out. Maybe I'll do one more on the other side. Just for consistency. Alright, so it should look like that, pretty much. I know I kinda, perhaps this side isn't as good as it could have been. I always have trouble working on the left side of things. The right side I can do really well, but the left side I always have trouble with. But I think that actually looks pretty good, to be honest with you. Like how that effect worked. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I'm just gonna kind of use my fingers and just kind of, and the camera's focusing in and out like crazy again. Make the lines a little better. And when my camera will stop being dumb and actually focus in on what I'm trying to show. Come on, camera. Fix these lines a little bit. Yeah, I kind of knew we were going to have difficulty. I think whatever we did with these lines in the sides, these ones I'm kind of re-etching in for the 3rd time, I knew we were going to have some difficulty with it. But regardless, that is pretty much how the body is going to go. So with that said, I am going to end this as part 3. We are going to start the arms next time. Well, more like the spheres on the shoulders. But that was pretty much all I wanted to do with the body at this point, and we won't get into the body again until we go to the legs. So thanks for watching, and stick around for the next part.